Hi everyone, this is Sangwoo Kim. Once we run regression analysis, I think you are mostly interested in R-square and coefficients to understand the relationship between dependent variable and independent variable. After getting significant regression coefficients, I guess you also want to predict Y values and analyze residuals to check whether the residuals satisfy the assumption of regression analysis. So in this video, I want to share how to predict Y values for existing data and new data, and also how to get residuals and standardized residuals which are useful to detect outliers. Let's start. Firstly, I want to show you how to get predicted values and residuals by Excel add-in tool. So click Data tab, and on the right side, Data Analysis, and find out Regression. And select Y range, and select X range, and click Labels, and change up range here, and click Residuals and standardize the residuals. Alright, as you can see, the model is significant and to regression coefficients here and residual outputs here. So in the next spreadsheet, I will show you how to get this data. And also, as you know, this is not enough to understand predict values and residuals. I will cover it in the next spreadsheet explanation. Okay, let me capture this output. So I want to compare this Excel output with my manual computation. So for Y hat, we can use intercept and slope function. Choose Y and press F4 and comma, and choose X and press F4 and plus and slope. Choose Y again and F4 comma, and choose X, press F4 and multiply by X. Right, so as you can see, we got same outputs, right? So for the rest of calculation, we need y minus y square to get MSE. So y minus y hat and square. Okay, for MSE, we need to sum of all numbers and divide by total number of observations, 12, minus a total number of parameters, which is 2, so 2. Right. So in Excel, we get predict Y values, but it does not provide row bound or row bound and upper bound. So if you run this regression in Excel by R, you can get predicted values and low bound and upper bound, right? So again, once you read data and by using LM linear model function, you can get regression analysis, and then if you use predict function with confidence interval, you can get relevant fitted value and row bound and upper bound. And also you can get new data. You can get the regression outputs for new data. Okay, so let's calculate this data in Excel manually. So for sigma square of y hat, I'm going to use this formula. So sigma square of y hat can be calculated by using this formula. So MSE, press F4 and multiply by 1 over n. N means number of observations, so 12, and plus x minus x bar average, press F4 and close and square it, and over. So sum of x minus x bar square can be calculated by the VSQ function. Okay, so, and press F4. Alright, this is sigma square of y hat. For lower bound and upper bound, we can use this formula. So y for lower bound, y hat minus t distribution, so we can get t dot I inverse and 0.975, because we set alpha as 5%, comma, and n minus 2, so 10, and multiply by sigma over yh, so sqrt, and sigma square of y hat, and close the form. Right. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, 16 and 78 and 78. Okay. For upper bounds, same formula, but just change minus to plus. Okay. Okay, the next one is to predict y values by using new data. So I'm going to use this formula. So for 20, 30, and 40, sorry, for y hat we can use same formula. And for sigma square of y hat, so we can use this formula. So MSE, press F4, multiply by 1 plus 1 over 12 plus XH here minus, XH minus average of all X values and sigma square, and over sum of xi minus x bar square, we can use the VSQ and press F4. Alright, so this is this sigma square over y hat. For lower bound, we can use this formula. Alright, so for y hat minus t dot inv and 0.975, comma, and 10, and multiply by sqrt and sigma square of y hat. Cool. So yeah, so we can get same result, right? 25, 42, 25, 42. Okay. And for upper bound, again, we can use same formula, but just change minus to plus, right? The next one is about residual. So we can get residual by y minus y hat. And for standard residual, we can calculate it by residual over standard deviation of residual. So residual over stdev dot s and all values, and press F4. Alright, so as you can see, in Excel, residuals and standard residuals, so we got same result, right? But you remember in data, on the data analysis tab, we checked residuals and standardized residuals. So the expression in the residual output is a standard residuals. So it makes us confuse between standardized residual and standard residual. So I'm going to calculate standardized residual in Excel manually. So if you run R program by LM function, you can get regression output here. And also after that, if you run R standard function, you can get standardized residual, right? So I'm going to get this result in Excel manually. Right. All right. So the formula for standardized residuals is like this. Yeah, residual over square root of MSE 1 minus HII. So we need to firstly we need to get a hat matrix. So to get a hat matrix, we need to define design matrix first, right? So let's define this one as design matrix as X. And there are 12 observations, so we can think of 12 by 12 hat matrix. So 1, 2, and 1, 2. So we will make 12 by 12 hat matrix. So I'm going to calculate hat matrix by this way. So x prime x first, and inverse them, and multiply by x, and finally multiply by transpose of x. So in Excel, to apply matrix form, you need to select all cells first. Then, so let's multiply, transpose x and comma and x, and inverse them. M-I-N-V-E-R-S-E, and multiply by x matrix, M-M-U-L-T, x, comma, close the form, and finally let's multiply by x transpose of x, M-M-U-L-T, comma, and transpose x. Right. In order to apply matrix form in Excel, you need to press Ctrl Shift Enter together. So Ctrl Shift Enter. Right. This is a hat matrix. So by using this formula, let's calculate standardized residual. So residual and over SQRT and MSE, press F4, multiply by 1 minus H11, right? Cool. So the next one, we need to change H22, not H21, right? So we need to change this one. All right. But instead of changing this formula, we can think of VLOOKUP function, right, to make it efficient. So instead of Q2, let's use VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP value, first one is this one, and comma, and a table array, this one, and comma. And we need to use, also we can use this one, but we will add up by 1, right? So plus 1 and first. All right. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, right? And we can apply this formula for other cells. Okay. So as you can see, we were able to get standardized residual in Excel manually. So today in this video, I covered prediction for existing data and new data. And to detect outliers, we can use residual and standardized residual. So I hope this video was helpful for you to understand how we can do prediction and analysis of residual. Please click like and subscribe to motivate me to upload more useful videos. Thank you.